were informed this morning that former President George W. Bush underwent a procedure this morning to have a stent placed in an artery after a blockage was discovered in his annual physical exam. According to his office, this was conducted at Texas Health Presbyterian Hospital, and the blockage was discovered yesterday. And on the recommendation of his doctors, he agreed to go ahead with the procedure, which was successful. Joining us now is a man you're familiar with because if you're familiar with this show, you hear him and see him if you're watching at Newsmax.com. You also are familiar with his affiliation with Newsmax and his heart health report, Dr. Crandall's heart health report. I'm holding it up right here. Chauncey Crandall, one of the nation's leading cardiologists and medical director of interventional cardiology at Good Samaritan Medical Center down in Palm Beach County, Florida. Hey, doctor, how are you?
Steve, how are you doing?
Good. Pleasure to talk to you. Okay, so let me ask you, and I'm a little educated in these matters as a devout hypochondriac. The way the story is reported and how we have to assume it happened was the president went in for a physical, and they did probably to discover a blocked artery in a physical. They must have done a nuclear stress test to find that out. Correct?
Well, Steve, he had a stress test. I don't know why he had it. You know, it could be part of a regular physical, or he could have had symptoms that they accelerated this. But he had a stress test. He's in good shape. He walked on the treadmill. They did another test with it called the nuclear cardiology portion of the stress test. And this test showed a significant defect in one of the main arteries of the heart. There are 3 arteries, but one of them clearly showed a blockage, and it probably was in one of the main branches of the heart, and that's what led to the treatment with a coronary stent.
We don't know it. We don't know which artery. Was it the widowmaker, so-called, or we don't know?
Well, I don't think it was. It probably was the widowmaker. That's a significant blood vessel. It shows a large defect on the scan. And with his visibility and everything, I'm sure it made people nervous, and that's why they took him immediately for treatment. But I suspect he was probably, Steve, having symptoms prior to the stress test, and those symptoms were concerning enough that they put him through the stress test, and they made the diagnosis that he has heart disease.
Right, and we're hearing it was part of his physical. I mean, I have no reason to doubt that, but we don't know that for sure. He might have, in fact, been brought there with symptoms, and we don't know that. Now, explain, if you will, the stent. That's like a balloon that's inserted into an artery, or is that separate from the stent?
The stent, the stent is made of wire, and it's like the old chicken wire. It's similar to that, but on a much smaller scales. It has little cells in there, and that stent is placed in the artery on top of a very tiny balloon, and the stent is crimped down on the balloon, and when they get to the site where the blockage is, they inflate the balloon with the stent on the outside, and that stent is deployed and opened up and causes a bridge, so to speak, within the artery that causes better blood flow, and the obstruction is pushed out of the way outside the stent. So the artery will look brand new. The people that did this are excellent. So the results, I'm sure, are very good, and his outcome is going to be excellent.
Now, we have here in George W. Bush a man who, for his age or for any age, is very active, jogs, rides mountain bikes, up mountain trails, is very physically fit looking as far as weight goes, but yet he had this problem. So I think it should send a message to all of us that no matter how much we work out or no matter how healthy we think we are, I guess we don't know.
Well, Steve, the main thing is we see this type of disease in many people that are in excellent shape. Usually these people eat poorly, and often many of them are under great stress. President Bush was tremendous stress as president, and stress is one of the main driving forces of heart disease. Even though you physically look good like this president, you're under tremendous stress, and stress inside the heart causes damage. It causes elevation of blood sugar, and it causes inflammatory factors and cholesterol and all sorts of inflammatory mediators. So stress is a killer. And I would tell your audience, anyone that's an executive, anyone that's a president of a company, anyone that makes these decisions day in and day out of great importance has stress. And they are people that can have heart disease. We have people on the other extreme, the people that are poor and down and out, that are going through the stresses of their type of lifestyle. So stress is a powerful predictor of heart disease.
And we're talking to Chauncey Crandall, Dr. Chauncey Crandall, Medical Director of Interventional Cardiology at Good Samaritan Medical Center in Palm Beach County, Florida, here on the Steve Malzberg Show. So I mean, we've seen your commercials here on the show and heard them, and
Right.
And read your written essays and information. And I guess aside from lowering stress in your life, which is easier said than done, it does still. You need to eat healthy. You need to eat, like you said in your spots all the time. Eat nuts and fish and stuff that's beneficial to your heart and not harmful.
Well, you don't need to get weird and crazy over diets, Steve, but if you've lived a bad lifestyle. So it's very important for the audience to, get their stress test, have their checkups with a reputable physician that's an advocate for their health care. And if they find something, we can reverse it. The good news for the president is that he probably has disease in other segments of arteries of his heart. And by going on a very aggressive program of, cholesterol reduction, stress reduction, and improvement in other areas, we can reverse heart disease. So the news is heart disease can be reversed, but find someone that can help you do that.
Yeah, and I guess men after a certain age should take that stress test, a nuclear stress test?
Well, the American society is built on stress, Steve, and wherever we look, there's chaos. Chaos on TV, chaos in the paper, chaos at work. Everything is revved up. So I would really make a strong recommendation that starting in their mid-40s, everyone should get a stress test. Of course, we should get blood work looking at our cholesterol and sugar before the age of, 45. But for all men and women as well, I would make a strong argument for that too, because they're in the workforce, they have additional stress in their life. So get a stress test and make sure, Steve, by all means, get a yearly physical. We take our car in, we get the oil change,
right.
But we don't get our yearly physical. And, doctors can help you, and they can reverse heart disease and do great things.
Right. Doctor, thank you so much. Pleasure talking to you, sir.
Okay. Thank you, Steve.
Take care. Dr.
Bye.
Chauncey
Bye-bye.
Crandall, ladies.